Good evening. I'm not going to keep you very long. I know you're all waiting eagerly for results, so I'm not going to stand in your way for those results. First of all, just to say thank you to Octabuild, thank you to the industry for inviting me back again. As you know, I was with most of you 2 years ago, which was interesting, and it was interesting for me to see developments along the way. This year, the judging was slightly changed, and we skewed it more in favour of the trade aspects of the business, which brought a new dynamic to the competition. I think one of the things, and Ty mentioned it in his opening thing, that one of the things that was common, certainly for me, compared to 2 years ago, was there was a degree of optimism in the business. I think that varied on where you were located, but I think that was positive and that was welcome. That was optimism for some of you towards sales growth, for others towards people, the people in your business, and generally attitude in the industry. So that optimism, I think, is welcome. I think next, what I found really interesting, in a lot of cases we are involved with industry sectors and we're involved for a period of time, then we move on. So it was very interesting for me to be back 2 years later, and I suppose it was really interesting to see action that was taken based on previous feedback. I think a lot of you were very focused on learning. In a lot of cases, when the judging was finished, people wanted to know how could they do better, how could they improve. And generally, I think I can put hand on heart and say there's an industry improvement happening, and that's very, very clear. In terms of the good things, I think there were probably 3 highlights for me this year. The level of business planning and those plans that you produce, and the focus in the business is at a much higher level than it would have been 2 years ago. I complimented customer service when I was here 2 years ago, and I would again compliment you on the level of service in the industry. As you know, when I go in first, I engage with one of the staff without saying who I am, and without fault. It was a level of excellent service delivered on all occasions. And another visible area of improvement was the external part of all of your sites: trade yard, trade parking, external signage. Still some little bits of work to go, but visible improvement from 2 years ago. Probably areas for the next 2 years, if we're all back here in 2 years' time again, for some focus. Out-of-stock levels are probably a little problematic for some of you still. Promotional signage and the impact of promotions is probably another one that would bring additional marks for some of you in the room. Training and training needs varied. For some of you, you had a training needs analysis, you had a very in-depth training program for your staff. For others, that's an opportunity to grow and to grow the marking. The last one, I'm perhaps going to get you to help me in the answer to the next one. Before I do that, can I ask how many people in the room this evening have sent a tweet since you came in here? There are 2 hands raised. If this was the fashion retail industry, how many tweets would have been sent by now? And I think that's probably the largest area. While there is a lot of brilliant work going on social media, the digital space, the online space, where again, I would acknowledge there is a lot of improvement and a lot of really interesting things happening. I think there are indicators that between social media, between online selling, is probably the new high ground for the industry, and where we've seen a lot of businesses beginning to focus on this year. I'm going to finish because I know that you're all eagerly awaiting the important part of the evening. Once again, thank you for the courtesy. Thank you for having me back in the industry. We've enjoyed it greatly. Good luck with the results. Thank you.